بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد. So Mufti Taqi Hafidhahullah is mentioning a story regarding his father. So his father is Mufti Shafi Sahab rahmatullahi alayhi. He's the one of his most famous works that people know of is Ma'arif al-Quran. It's available in Urdu, and his son then translated it later on. Mufti Taqi Sahab translated it later on. So he mentioned a story regarding his father's two incidents put together. Now his father was from very young. He was very focused and very determined to acquire knowledge and also to excel. You can't expect to do average amount of work, live an average lifestyle and excel. If you want to excel, you have to excel in your effort. If you want to excel, you have to excel in your behavior, in your adab, in your mutala, in your takrar, in all of these things. So he says that, again, it's permissible, it's normal. Many children, when they grow up, they like to engage in playing games. That's normal, permissible. But you see that those who, the elite, since they were young, that would be a very side issue. They wouldn't play much. Instead of that, what would they do? They spend their time in extra work, in extra mutala. So there's nothing wrong with it. You can't say, oh, it's wrong if you do this. But again, if everybody else is going to play, then you would have to then put a lot more effort other time to make up for it. So because he was very interested in playing. Instead, during the free time, the teachers would be around, some teacher would be sitting in the library, some teacher would be sitting in the corner doing something, somebody would be in the office. So he would go and sit with them, listen to them, talk to them, ask them questions, and this way he learned a lot. So he spent a lot of time with Shaykh al-Hind rahmatullah alayhi, Maulana Mahmud Hassan rahmatullah alayhi. And thereafter he spent a lot of time with Allama Kashmir rahmatullah alayhi. That's one thing he mentioned. And then he says that he also has so much zeal for books and reading that he would spend a lot of his time in the library. Now here, not here, but in those equatorial countries, India, Pakistan, Arabia, it's even in the Spanish countries, Mexico, it's very hot in the afternoon, so it's very hard to function. So what they start early morning shift in those places. After Fajr you start. In those madaris, Darul start 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, very early, 6 o'clock after Fajr. And then you go till early morning or late morning, then you have lunch and you have a nice afternoon nap. So if you go like Darul in India, like Dawel and those kind of places, afternoon is like night time. Everybody's sleeping. Everybody had their lunch and then they go to sleep and then they wake up for azan. So they have a nice afternoon nap. Mufti Shafi Sahab rahmatullah alayhi, he wanted to study. But the person who's working in the library, he wants to go home. So he made an arrangement. He convinced the person who's in the library that when you go home, leave him in the library and lock the library from the outside. So you can't leave a student in the library where the library is open, somebody steals the book, somebody comes in, he's at the door good, and he's responsible for locking the library. But as a student, a young student, he convinced the librarian who was in charge of the library in Deoband that instead of locking the library, put me inside and lock it. So I can't steal any books, I can't go anywhere, and I can do my mutala. So he said that there was not a single book in the library that I wasn't aware of. Every single book I could tell you this book. I either read the book or I actually flipped through the book, knew the contents of the book. So much so that I went through all of these books, and then you have a tafsir section, Quran section, hadith section, lugha section, gharib al-hadith section, usul tafsir section, you have the fiqh section upstairs. So he said I went through all of these sections. And then you have all these old books, random books, small little magazine this big, a small article this big, some books that people never even, the cover is missing. Then you had this book it's not rubbish, but it's like nobody knows what it's about. The jungle, don't go there. We don't know what that's about. So I started going through those. So even the books that the teachers and the librarian didn't know about, I started saying, oh, this book actually belongs in the tafsir section. This book's actually to do with usul hadith. This book's actually to do with fiqh and fulan and fulan. So I went through all of those other books. So I went through all of these, and the librarian sometimes would come to me and ask me, where's this book? And he's a student of madrasa. So this is one example. Mufti Shafi Sahab passed away about 50 years ago. About 50 years ago. Yeah, so if you want to excel, one is why we should have the value for the ulama. The effort that they put in is why they get out. Why he became Mufti Shafi Sahab rahmatullah alayhi. And he's known today, people call his name with reverence. And he had classmates, and some of his classmates were well known. Manoj Sahab Kandili rahmatullah alayhi, who wrote Sirat al-Mustafa. But many of them are not known. Maybe they didn't work, but not to the extent that he's famous. In eyes of Allah, Allah knows al-maqbool. But it's also, number one, we value the ulama. Number two is, if you want to excel, you also have to put in excellent work. If you want to be above average, you have to put in above average work. And these are people, again, they're just like me and you. Like me and you. But the effort you put in is what you will get out. Yeah, so from this we learn that this is, okay, and don't lock yourself in the library, you need to go to the toilet, you're in trouble. Yes, against health and safety rules as well. Yes, but the point is, again, you don't read every single story and try to follow it exactly. But it's like, okay, if you want to get something, you have to read. You have to pick up. One always complains that you have books here, and normally like, oh, there's a danger. You have books here. Should start reading the book, taking the book up. It's no problem. Nobody touches a single book. No, it's safe. The books are safe. No, it's safe, innit? Nobody touches them. Nobody looks at them. Which book is this? What? I've asked, where's the tafsir section? Can you know what tafsir section is? Hachuma, you know? Can't you? You just think, I said tafsir right now, you probably thought, okay, it might be there. When I pointed there, you said tafsir, so you said tafsir, hadith, and the fiqh, and then you said upar. You just, of my pointing. But you should be like, oh, I know what this book is. I know what books I have in Madrasa. Then you can say, well, you should be like, say, please, keep your hands off my book, please don't. Or if you want to take it, read it, put it back, make sure you put it when you finish. We should have that problem with students that, like, they're looking after the book. So when you have that inside out, all the books, all the, and even today, if you go in some of these groups and people who go to book fairs, they're proper bookworms. Like, they would just buy, they would know, like, you say, oh, Tafsir al-Tabari. So like, first of all, some of us don't even know what Tabari is, what is it? These guys don't know Tafsir al-Tabari, whose print it is, which manuscript this computer print is based on. This one has this many mistakes, they said, buy this copy. Like, today, like, people are like proper, so you have to, this is books, this is where we live, this is where we die. As a student of knowledge, books should be with you all the time. You should even, like, when you're going somewhere, have a book back in your bag. Those of you who go to work, have a book back in, and you go to work on a train. So you pack a book in your bag that when I'm in the train, I open up the book. You're going on a plane, you have a book. In the side of your bed, you have a book. This is how it should be. Books should be with you. Everywhere you see a book somewhere or the other. Yes, somewhere moving on. This is how you use when you have the book all the time. Sheikh Abdul Fattah Abu Khudda, like, he used to always have a book with him. When you have, like, we do something, he had a little handbag. And anytime there's an appointment, something gets late, he'll open his book and start continue his writing. And look how many works left behind. And if I'm not mistaken, Mufti Taqi Sahib Rahmatullah alayhi, his Quran translation, do you know where he wrote his Quran translation? On the plane. So he travels so much. So to make use of his travels, he would then write whilst on the plane, he has that's it, when he gets on the plane, open the book, starts writing. The Quran translation on the plane, if I'm not mistaken. Either all of it, most of it, if not Quran translation, another work. Like, probably most of it is a Quran translation. This is when you say this person is doing something. Along with this, you multitask. You got traveling, you got appointment, you're waiting somewhere, open the Quran, have tasbihat. But the talib al-ilm, more than tasbih, more than tilawah, you should have a book with you all the time. You have your books in front of your madrasa books, along with the other side books. You should know, like, you're studying hadith, so which hadith books, should have the hadith, have one book of it. The books that you have, the hashia, from beginning to end, I was talking about it yesterday as well, the hawashi, the hashia, the footnotes, the marginality that we have, they're very, very good. They're like the essence of all the shuruhat. And she said, well, every single book that I have, Hidayah, Mishkat, Jalalain, all of these books, the Wusta, every single hashia, I would read every single hashia and to know inside out. Then you get something. You don't understand it, you keep trying, look ahead. That's when you get something. What's the saying in probably Muntakhaba I mentioned earlier? The ilm will not give you, ilm is haris, is very greedy, very stingy. Ilm will only give you a very small portion. In exchange, you have to give your whole life for this. You give your whole life. You give a lot of yourself. You dedicate yourself to knowledge, then you get a bit of knowledge. But that little bit of knowledge is also it's so beneficial to excel everybody else. So you have to give that sacrifice. What do you say? What's this poem in Arabic? طلب العلا سهر الليالي. The person who wants to acquire knowledge, he has to stay awake at night. That's a metaphor. And to stay awake at night, but it means here, you can't just like sleep away. Wake up early in the morning, wake up tahajjud time. When other people are playing, you're working. When other people are doing something else, you're putting extra effort. When you put in this kind of effort, then you will get something out of knowledge. Knowledge is not cheap. You understand? So if you want to become like these ulama, again, the same way in 1392, Mufti Shafii passed away. So in 1492, somebody will pass away from amongst us. And they will be ulama. It's not that, there will no more ulama left. 100 years ago, people saying, the time is gone. 100 years today, and even 100 years later, there'll be great ulama who will be born. They'll be born from us. They'll be born like human beings. They're born babies, and they will have the same challenges, whether they're born in Saudi Arabia, in Makkah, Medina, in India, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in Leicester, in London, in Toronto, New York. Everywhere, everybody has the chance. You have to make sure you find the right teachers, find the right madrasa, the right system, and work hard. And the path is for everybody. The ilm, Islam is a ajib religion. Like there's no, certainly you have the Pope. He can dictate. Like nobody. You can be, for example, you can be a first generation Muslim. You become Muslim, you study properly. It doesn't matter the color of your skin, the shape of your hair, your background, you're black, you're white, you're African. You can become more knowledgeable than somebody born in Medina. And you have the right to you can become mufti. And you can say, this is a person who was born in the center of Islam, Medina Munawwara. And I was born like 2,000 kilometers away in Brazil or born in Alaska. I say the person in Alaska is more knowledgeable and he has more right to speak about deen. Because there's no closed door, it's not work based on race. If you look in the early Tahabi'in, Ata ibn Abi Rabah, they were like black Africans, Sayyidina Jubair. And so much so, there's one thing about Ata ibn Abi Rabah. Like the king, the Khalifa's son was like agitated. I have to go to him to ask him masail. This is the way of Islam. It's not based on any religion, any race, any color, any wealth. It's just based on you put your effort in, anybody can excel. Doesn't matter where you're from, where you're located. We have the Quran, we have the Sunnah, we have the tradition. It's available. Whoever wants it, hakalelo. So may Allah give us tawfiq. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.